My sister, Summer, always claimed I had stolen her glory and fortune. She believed that if she had been the one to drop out of school and enter the entertainment industry that year, the spotlight and the title of Queen of Cinema would rightfully belong to her now. I always just smiled and let it pass, until we both reincarnated, returning to the very day we had to make that choice. This time, Summer chose to drop out, insisting I continue my studies. I lowered my head and let out a cold, internal laugh. Did she really think the entertainment industry was so easy to enter? As an international queen of cinema, I was surrounded by countless bodyguards and assistants. Every item I wore, even a single accessory, was worth a six-figure sum. Powerful patrons and the most famous heartthrobs in the industry pursued me relentlessly, desperate for even a fleeting glance. All of this drove my sister, Summer, mad with envy. Every time I returned home for the Lunar New Year, Summer would look at me with eyes full of self-pity and resentment, then ask, "Sister, tell me, if I had been the one to drop out and brave the entertainment industry that year, and you had gone to school, wouldn't I be the international queen of cinema now?" Seeing my silence, she continued on her own. "I'm sure I would have climbed higher than you because I was even prettier than you back then." Summer couldn't accept it. That year, she chose to go to school, but only got into a second-rate university. Now, she was a 29-year-old office worker whose monthly salary barely reached 10,000 yuan. Meanwhile, I, who seemingly had nothing more than her back then, made the right choice to enter the entertainment industry. Every film I starred in became a hit, resources flowed to me endlessly, and I was elevated to the Queen of Cinema. I was now 30, but with meticulous self-care, I looked no different from a girl in her early 20s. She, despite being only 29, already had a face etched with fatigue. Summer spoke with increasing agitation, lost in her own delusions, unable to escape. I, on the other hand, was utterly exhausted, leaning back on the sofa, drowsy and about to drift off. Suddenly, a deafening explosion ripped through the air. The gas canister had burst. A piece of metal struck my head. Excruciating pain engulfed me, and my consciousness plunged into darkness. "Chloe, Summer, our family can no longer afford to send both of you to school." Mom wiped away tears, clutching Dad's urn. "Your father is gone, leaving behind a mountain of debt. My salary isn't high. Girls, please see who can drop out and work to help the family. Mom is sorry, my children." Before Mom could finish, Summer hastily stood up. "Mom, I'll drop out. Yesterday, Chloe and I met a talent scout on the street. They said they wanted to sign a contract with us. With our family situation, I can't just stand by. Let Chloe continue her studies. I'll try my luck in the entertainment industry." Mom sighed deeply, saying nothing more. I was stunned. I had been reincarnated, and it was on the most important decision-making day of my life. I was only 17, still in 11th grade. Summer was 16 in 10th grade. Our family had gone bankrupt. Dad had jumped from a building, leaving behind a chaotic mess. Mom couldn't handle everything, forcing Summer and me to choose. One of us would drop out to earn money for the family. In my previous life, I had voluntarily stepped forward, giving up my top academic performance to sign with an entertainment company and earn money for Summer to continue her education. I clawed my way up for years before finally reaching the pinnacle as the Queen of Cinema. But now, Summer had seen a glimpse of my future glory. She couldn't wait any longer. She wanted to steal my life away. I happily agreed, even feeling a touch of anticipation. Did she really think the entertainment industry was an easy ride? I had endured countless storms of blood and tears. One wrong step could lead to eternal damnation. She didn't know how much I had envied her simple school life back then. The next day, I continued to go to school, while Summer went to 9-Star Media to sign up. I opened my books. All the knowledge of my 17-year-old self was still intact in my mind. I knew how to solve all the problems, understood all the concepts perfectly. It was wonderful. This feeling was simply too wonderful. I sat in the clean, bright classroom, laughing and chatting with my friends, filling in the gaps of my previous life's regrets with pen and ink. No need to put on heavy makeup early in the morning, no need to waste my youth at extravagant parties, no need to endure lecherous old men, old enough to be my father, making crude jokes and passes, just for a chance to appear on TV. After school, I hummed a tune as I walked home. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw Summer sitting on the sofa with exquisite makeup on, her luggage beside her. My mother, just like in the previous life, had signed the contract as her guardian and manager, accepting an advance payment from the company. A calculating glint flickered in Summer's eyes. Knowing I had a scholarship, Mom gave all of the advance payment to Summer, telling her to take care of herself while living away from home. Seeing me enter, Summer said triumphantly, "Chloe, it's finally my turn to enjoy the glory and fortune. Even if you wanted to fight me for it, it's too late now. I've officially signed with 9-Star Media and will be moving into the company dormitory. I'll be working constantly. You'll see me on TV soon." I calmly replied, "Congratulations on achieving what you desired." Summer was displeased with my reaction. She moved closer and whispered provocatively in my ear, "This time, the glory, the fortune, the spotlight of the queen of cinema, your pursuers, your fans, it's all mine. Chloe, we can finally swap our lives." After saying this, Summer lifted her head, leaving the house without a trace of reluctance. I simply watched her go, a cold gaze in my eyes. She didn't know that the contract she had just signed was, in reality, a slave contract that would nearly destroy her life. The advance payment from 9-Star Media wasn't a free gift. If she didn't earn the stipulated amount within a year, Summer would have to pay a penalty tenfold. In my previous life, after I signed with 9-Star, they shelved me for half a year, giving me no work. When I was frantic with anxiety, they suddenly threw me into an idol survival show. Out of 100 beautiful girls, only 5 would debut. My manager told me, "No matter the cost, you must make it into the debut group. Otherwise, pay the contract's penalty and get out." The contestants who passed the rounds all had backing, either powerful patrons or daughters of influential families. Facing such opponents, I was so worried my lips were covered in blisters, which I had to conceal with thick makeup. Just then, my kind manager offered a solution. He led me to a party where the show's biggest sponsor, CEO Thompson, was present. He leaned close to my ear, his tone suggestive, "Mr. Thompson likes innocent girls like you. As long as you please him, don't just think about debuting. Getting you to become an A-list star isn't impossible." That day, I suppressed my disgust and secretly recorded a video of CEO Thompson making unwanted advances on another actress. Then, I smashed a wine bottle and held a shard of glass to my wrist. My other hand gripped my phone tightly. Like a cornered tigress, I stared straight at him, gambling with my life. And I won. CEO Thompson wasn't angry. He laughed, laughing at my naivete, my lack of understanding of the world, laughing at my audacity. He waved his hand, giving me an opportunity, as if playing a game, eager to see how miserably I would fail. But I seized that chance, taking a direct path to debut with the group, and even securing my first solo performance, which became famous nationwide. Now, all of this had fallen into Summer's hands. I eagerly awaited to see how she would fare. 6 months passed without any news of Summer. It seemed she, too, was shelved, just like I had been in my previous life. Meanwhile, I placed first in my midterm exams and honorably won first prize in the provincial competition. It wasn't until the entire network began heavily promoting the Creative Dance Troupe show that I looked at the contestant list and indeed saw Summer's name. The light in her eyes flickered erratically. Her face bore a sweet, innocent smile, but deep in her eyes, unbridled ambition surged. In the first individual challenge round, Summer ranked dead last. I calculated that this must be when the manager would arrange CEO Thompson's party. I immediately called Summer. The first time, no answer. The second, the third, still no answer. It wasn't until the 8th call that she finally picked up. "Summer, listen to me. You must not go to that party." I hadn't even finished my sentence when Summer impatiently cut me off. "Chloe, aren't you being too nosy? It's just a party, isn't it? You went in your previous life, so why can't I go? Do you not want to see me succeed? Do you want me to miss this opportunity? You're truly disgusting. You've enjoyed glory and fortune your whole life. Now it's my turn. Why do you still want to interfere? From now on, mind your own business and don't meddle in mine." After that, I only heard a beep. Summer had decisively hung up. I sighed. All right then. Respecting others' fate, I let go of the thought of saving her. I poured all my energy into preparing for the provincial exam, no longer having the strength to care about the Creative Dance Troupe show. Mom helped me with the boarding school procedures. Occasionally, I'd overhear classmates chatting and learned that, after failing the solo round, Summer, as if guided by a divine hand, unexpectedly climbed into the top 3 from the second episode and eventually debuted as the center. She seemed even more dazzling than I was in my previous life. After the provincial exam, the first thing I did upon leaving the exam room was to check the news about Summer on my phone. With media attention, she gained a huge amount of popularity in a short time. But very quickly, a leaked photo spread everywhere. Summer appearing before and after at the same hotel as CEO Thompson. The show immediately released a statement, clarifying that all members of the girl group were staying at that hotel for practice. Other group members also came forward to support Summer, and the storm temporarily quelled. Seeing all of this, I only felt a deep sense of regret. I knew my biggest fear had come true. Relying on CEO Thompson, Summer could enjoy temporary glory, but she couldn't overcome the next challenge. After the Creative Dance Troupe national tour, the group would have the opportunity to audition for Director Miller's new TV drama. But the problem was, Director Miller absolutely detested those who used backdoor connections. He and CEO Thompson merely feigned politeness while harboring animosity. In my previous life, after my debut, CEO Thompson had publicly stated to the media that he didn't rate me highly. Immediately after, both the show and the group members mercilessly suppressed me. At that time, Director Miller's audition opportunity was my only lifeline. I stayed up all night studying the script, watched other actors film, and poured my heart and soul into the character. When I went for the audition, I made Director Miller's eyes light up, successfully landing the most important supporting female role. Now, could Summer do the same? After the group's tour ended, the show immediately announced that the members would audition for Director Miller's drama, Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring. In front of the cameras, Summer was arrogant and triumphant. She arrogantly brushed her hair back and said, "Supporting female role? No, I'm auditioning for the lead role, the NHI. I've read the script. The character of the NHI, blooming resiliently amidst adversity, is exactly like me. This role is practically written for me. Director Miller has a discerning eye. He'll definitely choose me." The reporter, seeing the actress's overly confident and somewhat naive demeanor, had a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth as he asked, "So, do you think you have acting talent?" Summer blinked shyly and smiled. "Why wouldn't I? Of course, I do." I watched the interview and couldn't stand it, secretly admiring the reporter's professional demeanor. Not long after, a hashtag shot straight to the top of the hot search trends. Director Miller blasts Summer's acting as disgusting hash. I frowned and clicked to watch. A video recording Summer's audition appeared. In this scene, the female lead, the NHI, had to rush out of the bunker to attract the enemy's attention to protect her younger sister, the supporting female role. But Summer showed no trace of a willingness to die. Instead, she had an inexplicable eagerness, as if she already knew she would encounter an unexpected opportunity after being captured. Even the line, "You are a bad person and will not have a good ending," was delivered by her in a whiny, pouting voice, as if she were flirting. Director Miller erupted in a furious roar right then and there. "Just get out of my sight." Summer was immediately kicked off the project. Afterward, she feigned injustice, publicly defending herself online. If the NHI didn't rush out, then her younger sister would have been captured, wouldn't she? Wouldn't the subsequent opportunities have gone to her younger sister? In the end, the one sitting on the Empress's throne would also be her younger sister. What does it have to do with the NHI? To put it plainly, didn't the NHI steal her sister's life? So what's there to be sad about? She simply made a choice that benefited herself. The NHI's true nature is selfishness. I'm the one who acted correctly, so I don't understand why Director Miller said that about me. Director Miller was so furious he almost had a heart attack. He immediately posted on his studio's official Weibo account. "Summer can sing, she can dance, but she absolutely cannot act. A good actor needs the ability to understand characters and have integrity. She has neither. I don't understand why everyone thinks they can just come and act these days." Director Miller's position in the film industry was extremely important. This single statement officially blocked Summer's acting career. Perhaps shocked by Summer's terrible performance, after the audition round, Director Miller shook his head and sighed. "Actors these days are too shallow. We need a breath of fresh air." And so, a nationwide casting call for a new female lead was announced. The day the casting announcement was made was also the day I was preparing to participate in the final round of the provincial exam. Coincidentally, the exam venue was less than 500 meters from where the casting was held. After a moment's thought, I decided to sign up for the audition. In my previous life, I had played the supporting female role, pretending to be gentle but actually full of schemes, and was terribly cursed by netizens. But thanks to that, I became famous. Everyone said I played the role too convincingly, but no one knew how much I loved the female lead, the NHI. I saw myself in her. To play the supporting role, I had to analyze the script and hone my skills, but with the NHI, I didn't need to, because I didn't need to act. I was asterisk her. I understood the NHI's feelings perfectly when she rushed out of the bunker to protect her family. I had experienced that sacrifice and letting go. In the script, after the sisters were reunited, the younger sister's first reaction wasn't joy that her sister was alive, but marveling at the luxury of the imperial palace. Then she bitterly remarked, "If I could, I'd rather have been the one to jump out that day." In that moment, the NHI's heart grew completely cold, losing all hope for her sister. I deeply resonated with that. Therefore, this time, I wasn't driven by life's pressures, but to fulfill a lingering dream. I signed up to audition for the NHI. After finishing the exam, I stepped out of the examination room. Classmates around me complained endlessly. "Someone's asking to compare answers." "Compare what? We couldn't do any of it. Could a normal person do that exam? I want to see how many brains those award winners have." "Come on, the exam's over. Why are you still thinking about it? I heard there's a casting call for a female lead nearby with lots of celebrities. Let's go check it out." I nodded slightly. "I also have an audition there. Shall we go together?" My classmates gaped in astonishment. Someone immediately sneered. "I'm not trying to put you down, Chloe, but you're only as pretty as our class beauty queen. Dreaming of being a female lead? Are you dreaming in broad daylight?" I shrugged. "Just an audition, what's to lose? Consider it an outing." Seeing everyone looking at me with expressions of waiting for a spectacle, I didn't bother inviting them anymore. I quietly put on my backpack and left alone. When I arrived, the casting was still about 30 minutes from starting. An assistant walked over, scanning me from head to toe, then said contemptuously, "You're not wearing makeup and you're still a high school student. This is a casting for a major production, not a school play." The entire waiting room simultaneously turned to look at me, their eyes filled with mockery and disdain. Only one girl silently offered me a mini makeup kit. I looked at her, full of gratitude. Then, under everyone's utterly astonished gazes, I changed my look in exactly 1 minute. In my previous life, because I constantly had to rush between jobs, quick makeup application had become second nature. After the assistant registered my name, he threw a piece of paper at me. On it was the scene I had to perform. Unlike auditions for famous stars, amateur contestants only received a small excerpt, not the full script. Coincidentally, I drew the same scene as Summer. "Number 168, Chloe." I immediately stood up, adjusted my clothes, pushed open the door, and entered the audition room. For the first time in my life, I faced director Miller. He still looked as he did in my memories, disheveled, not bothering about his appearance, but with eyes terrifyingly sharp. His eyes shone with a strange brilliance, perhaps because they were so profound and insightful, making them appear brighter than ever. He was my benefactor in my previous life. He was the one who introduced me to the film industry, using one film after another to propel me to the throne of the Queen of Cinema, and even introduced me to veterans of the cinematic world, giving me the chance to compete for an Oscar. Back then, rumors about us spread like wildfire. Some said he was my sugar daddy, others claimed I was his secret daughter. The two words, soulmates, they didn't understand, they didn't believe. Until he smashed a wine bottle to the ground in front of the media, pointing at the shards and saying, "Pick them up and eat them." All the slanderous rumors about me vanished overnight. I had once wanted to give him the brightest jewel from the Queen of Cinemas, crown, but by then, he was already in the ICU. The day I received my award was also the day he took his last breath. I could only place the jewel among his personal belongings, burying it with him. People said he smiled on the day he passed. At this moment, the old director sat behind a pile of documents. He looked up at me, his eyebrows tightly furrowed. "Chloe, your face. What's your relation to Summer?" Since we were biological sisters, it wasn't strange for Director Miller to notice some resemblance. "I am her older sister," I calmly replied. Director Miller snorted coldly, seemingly recalling an unpleasant memory. He made a disgusted gesture, then waved his hand, signaling me to begin. I composed my smile and completely immersed myself in the character of the NHI from Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring. In just a blink, my eyes were already brimming with tears. Director Miller's eyes immediately lit up. As the enemy approached the bunker, I didn't immediately rush out. Instead, I looked nervously at the younger sister in my arms. Anyone would have the instinct to protect oneself before sacrificing. A normal person would surely have a psychological struggle. The NHI wasn't a saint. Between familial love and her own life, she had hesitated, she had struggled. Finally, I fiercely wiped away my tears, struck my sister hard on the back of her neck, knocking her unconscious. Then, I turned my head to look at her one last time before resolutely rushing out, without looking back. When I saw the enemy's face, I suddenly froze. My hands clasped tightly over my chest, my whole body trembling uncontrollably. The stone I had gripped tightly in my hand also fell to the ground in fright. As the enemy approached, I desperately suppressed my fear, but inside, a surge of intense resentment welled up. I collapsed onto the ground, using my own body to cover the bunker's entrance. My fingernails dug deep into my palms until they bled. "You are a bad person and will not have a good ending." I poured every ounce of my strength into saying this. Utterly exhausted, I collapsed onto the ground, waiting for Director Miller to call, "Cut!" But the entire audition room remained silent as a tomb. Director Miller had completely taken his eyes off the script. Everyone present was captivated by my performance, unable to escape. The male actor playing the enemy couldn't bear it any longer and awkwardly spoke up. "Director, she's finished acting." This statement was like a bolt from the blue, suddenly snapping everyone out of the NHI scene. Director Miller leapt up from his chair. All the scripts on the table were thrown directly into my lap. "Chloe, right. Pack your things and join the crew immediately. Hurry. I can't wait another second. I want everyone to see what the NHI should truly be like." The assistant director awkwardly said, "But there are still contestants who haven't auditioned." Director Miller erupted, "Who else? What kind of rubbish are you trying to put into my film crew? If you don't choose Chloe, if you don't invest, then get out. I'll even pay for it myself if I have to." I hugged the script and followed the assistant to sign the contract. Along the way, everyone stared at me in stunned silence. The assistant, who had looked down on me earlier, now smiled brightly. "Ms. Chloe, as Director Miller's female lead, your future is immeasurable. I was truly blind before, not recognizing you. You're beautiful even without makeup. Please don't hold a grudge against me, okay?" I gave a faint smile, not really caring. In my previous life, I had struggled my way up from the bottom of society, witnessed enough of the fickleness of human hearts, and seen too many two-faced people who would smile at you one moment and stab you in the back the next. Such a trivial matter now, I wouldn't even bother to remember. If this assistant had been a moment slower, I might have forgotten who he was. As I stepped out of the building, my classmates, who had been waiting outside for gossip, immediately swarmed around me. "Chloe, why are your eyes red? Did Director Miller scare you into crying?" "Exactly. She must have been so scared she couldn't speak. She doesn't even participate in school plays normally, but suddenly got the urge to audition today. Is something wrong with her head? I'm telling you, if Chloe gets chosen, I'll live stream myself eating excrement." The crowd chattered incessantly, giving me no chance to speak. It wasn't until I found a small opening and was about to say something that the film crew's assistant rushed over from behind, his face full of warmth. "Ms. Chloe, you forgot to take your contract." The group of classmates suddenly fell silent. The atmosphere froze. Their faces gradually stiffened, their eyes wide with shock. I took the contract and calmly said, "Thank you." The assistant waved his hands humbly. No, not at all. I hope you'll look after me well once you join the crew." Join the crew? The entire group of classmates gasped in astonishment. The person who had just vowed to live stream eating excrement broke out in a cold sweat, stammering, "My mom's calling me home for dinner." Then she turned and ran, disappearing. Director Miller immediately posted on his studio's official Weibo account, "I have found the NHI in my heart, but who is it? I won't say. Let's all look forward to Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring." When my mother learned the news, she worried that Summer, in her narrow-mindedness, would cause trouble for me, so she deliberately kept this matter quiet. My homeroom teacher also signed a confidentiality agreement, instructing the entire class not to leak the news. Everything went smoothly, except for the principal, who vehemently objected. It's not that I'm complaining, but has this student gone mad? Have the teachers gone mad with her? Chloe is a potential student for Tsinghua and Peking University. This is a crucial time for university entrance exams, and she wants to act. No, I will not approve. If anyone dares to let her go, don't blame me. If she insists on going, I will refuse to recognize her as a student of this school. The surrounding teachers looked at him with eyes as if looking at a tantrum-throwing child. No one said anything, they just smiled quietly. The principal continued waving his arms and gesticulating wildly, spitting everywhere. Only when he was tired did he feel something was off. "Are you finished, sir?" My homeroom teacher smiled and asked. "Then it's my turn to speak. Chloe has already won a provincial gold medal and has been granted direct admission to university." The principal's face went pale, then red, then purple, with veins visibly bulging on his neck from excitement. He patted his beer belly and jumped up and down a few times. Finally, he shouted aloud, "Support! We must fully support Chloe in pursuing her passion." I joined the film crew for 3 months. My days and nights were turned upside down. I drank coffee to stay awake while also drinking goji berry tea to nourish myself. Finally, the film Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring wrapped up filming. As soon as I left the set, I received a call from Summer. "Sister, come to 9 Star. Let's meet for a bit." I was wary, but after some thought, I still walked through the doors of 9 Star. This place was all too familiar to me. In my previous life, I had struggled within these walls for 5 years that should have been the most beautiful of my life. 9 Star was skilled at playing cat and mouse games, sometimes suppressing me, sometimes throwing me a tiny opportunity. After I became famous thanks to Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring, they clung tightly to my oppressive contract, refusing to let go. In the end, it was Director Miller who stepped forward to help me pay the colossal breach of contract fee, allowing me to finally break free from 9 Star Entertainment. I found Summer's room. As soon as I entered, I saw Summer sitting on the sofa. Beside her was the same manager 9 Star had assigned, but now the radiance on Summer's face was gone. She was like a small, pouting bird leaning on her manager, begging in a low voice, "Please, brother, arrange more schedules for me." The manager gripped her chin, his hand casually gliding over her face, then shoved her aside and let out a cold laugh. "Mr. Thompson has grown tired of playing with you, and you've offended Director Miller. What value do you still have to the company?" Summer fearfully shook her head, pleading desperately, "I can sing, I can dance, I can participate in reality shows. As long as I have a chance, I'll do anything. Please, brother, I beg you." The manager twirled a lock of her hair, a meaningful smile on his face. "Get down on your knees." Summer immediately crawled directly to his feet, pleading miserably. I couldn't bear it any longer. I cleared my throat coldly, shattering the strange atmosphere. The manager, startled, immediately straightened up. Summer's expression shifted. She hastily adjusted her hair, trying to puff out her chest, feigning arrogance and nobility. "What do you want?" I asked indifferently. The female lead director Miller mentioned. "Is it you?" Summer strode quickly towards me, her sharp fingernails nearly poking my eyes. "Chloe, can't you just study peacefully? Why do you have to jump in and compete? Director Miller hates me so much. Is it because you said something to him?" I frowned, utterly detesting her accusatory tone. She was completely oblivious to how repulsive she truly was. "If you called me here just to talk about this, then I'm leaving." The manager immediately shot Summer a fierce glare. Summer gritted her teeth but still held me back. Her voice softened, feigning pitifulness. "Sister, no, it's my fault. I misunderstood. Don't be angry with me. I called you here to tell you some good news." I stopped, turning back with interest, wanting to see what good news she was referring to. Summer took a deep breath, feigning injustice, yet still forcing a smile. "Sister, you're considered half an artist now, aren't you? 9 Star wants to sign a contract with you. From now on, we'll share the same manager, develop together in the entertainment industry, help each other, and make a lot of money together. Isn't that great?" The manager immediately interjected. "The contract is already prepared by 9 Star and stamped. It's just waiting for you, Ms. Chloe, to sign. Your profit share is double Summer's. Chloe, opportunities like this don't come often. Young people need to know how to make the right choices." I picked up the contract on the table, casually flipping through a few pages, then let out a snort of laughter. The contract stipulated, for 10 years, I could not accept any work outside of the company's schedule. All products, including but not limited to songs, films, and reality shows, were the company's exclusive property, and during the contract period, I was not allowed to change managers. 9 Star was truly sincere, even too lazy to fake it anymore, huh? The suffocating pressure of this contract was no different from my previous life. Right in front of Summer, I tore the contract to shreds. The manager's face darkened. Summer, in a panic, frantically grabbed my hand. "Chloe, please sign it. Consider it repaying me. If I hadn't dropped out to help the family, would you have enjoyed a peaceful life at school?" I frowned, cutting her off. All my tuition and living expenses came from my scholarships and prize money. I never spent a single penny of yours in this life. My mother has already returned all of Summer's advance payment. She always claims to sacrifice for the family, but in reality, the family never received any benefit from her. Conversely, in my previous life, Summer had poor academic performance and no scholarships. My mother used all my tuition money to support her. I, with only 500 yuan in hand, walked through the doors of 9 Star alone, running errands for senior artists, working as an extra in Hengdian, struggling through the most difficult days. Summer, in this life, had 100 times better start than I had in my previous life. If I calculated carefully, in my previous life, I was the one who had bestowed a favor upon her. In this life, she only wanted to exploit me. I looked straight into Summer's eyes, my gaze icy. "From this moment on, I will consider myself without a sister like you. Don't use the name sister to tie me down. You know, we stopped being sisters a long time ago." After saying this, I turned my back and walked out of 9 Star without a moment's hesitation. I swore I would never step foot in this place a second time in this life. Ancient Trees Blooming in Spring officially aired. The character of the NHI played by me created a sensation, leading to a wave of curiosity about me. Netizens also discovered that I was still a high school student. Praise flooded in, but suddenly negative comments appeared. "So young and already acting. Quite ambitious for her age, isn't she? Obviously poor in studies, that's why she entered showbiz. A 12th grader acting? She definitely has no intention of going to university." Immediately, hundreds of malicious comments appeared. Clearly, someone had hired trolls to slander me. When I was pushed to the hot search for being slandered, my school immediately announced my provincial gold medal. At the same time, Tsinghua and Peking University simultaneously declared, "We have granted direct admission to Chloe." Overnight, from a criticized, problem student, I suddenly became a study genius. My fan count skyrocketed, growing so fast that some even suspected I bought followers. I directly posted a clarification: "I will not step into the entertainment industry. I will continue to pursue a medical degree at Peking University. Thank you, everyone, for your love. Playing the role of the NHI was a dream fulfilled. Next, I want to become a doctor to save those I want to save." Gears of fate turned rapidly. Summer chose my path from the previous life, but the more she walked, the more she veered off course. The path she abandoned, I turned it into a massive success. The day Summer went abroad to perform in a swallow dance show coincided with my matriculation day at Peking University. That day, scandalous photos of Summer flooded the internet. Those present at the performance eagerly described the hot scene. Men freely made inappropriate comments under Summer's posts. Finally, Summer sacrificed her own character and dignity for a moment of viral fame. But now, the name, Summer, had become synonymous with adult film actress. She wanted to develop her career abroad, but lacking connections, every step was a dead end. Reluctantly, Summer returned to China, but all the resources she could get required her to strip. Summer wanted to cancel her contract, but 9 Star threatened her with exploitative contract clauses. At this point, she finally tasted the bitterness I had experienced in my previous life. Summer once came to see me. She looked utterly exhausted and defeated, asking me sharply, "Chloe, in your previous life, to reach that position, how many people did you sleep with?" "Not a single one." "Impossible," Summer clasped her head, her voice rising to a piercing, grating pitch. I calmly replied, my tone without a hint of tremor. From the beginning, at CEO Thompson's party, I maintained my boundaries. Later, every time I wavered, I thought, such a long and arduous path have come this far. If I give up now, what meaning would all my previous perseverance have? Thinking like that, I reached the end of the road without even realizing it. A flicker of tears appeared in Summer's eyes, whether from regret or resentment, I couldn't tell. She turned and left without another word. Half a year later, I heard news of her. To escape 9-star, she accepted being supported by an old CEO, becoming a minor influencer in the entertainment industry, maintaining a precarious existence. But this life was too far from her dream of being the queen of cinema back then. Meanwhile, I live-streamed from Peking University, steadily earned my PhD in medicine, then pursued advanced training abroad, and finally returned to China to become a chief physician at Baxi Hospital. Throughout these years, I maintained contact with Director Miller. The old man had a fiery temper, and we would argue after just a few sentences because I didn't follow an acting career. "Listen to me," he'd say. "If you had continued acting, you'd already have an Oscar by now. What's this nonsense about being a doctor?" My voice trembled slightly over the phone. "You don't understand, sir. I want to save people. When I was little, I dreamed that my mentor had cancer. I thought, if only I were a doctor, how wonderful it would be. Then I could detect it early and save them." Director Miller on the other end snorted dismissively. "Just a dream, and you believe it. How old are you and still so foolish?" I shook my head and smiled. "Old man, I miss you. How about coming to my hospital for a general checkup?" He hung up. The next day, the old director abandoned his entire film crew and headed straight for my hospital. I forced him to undergo a comprehensive examination. The results showed a benign tumor. I sighed in relief, putting on my medical gloves. This time, I was finally able to save him.